Well, welcome everyone this afternoon to our session on an open question session concerning the online faculty certification program course, which I'm guessing many, if not all of you, are enrolled in at this point in time. I am going to take questions as they come in. I will certainly start with the ones in the chat tool. So you can just start putting your questions in there right now. But as we get through with those, I'll ask for questions verbally. You can unmute yourself at any time. I will certainly go over Module 3. What is it, Sue, about Module 3 that you're especially concerned about?
Thank you, Dave. So welcoming the students, is that just a very brief introduction of what we would say in welcoming the students on,
Right.
As an introduction, and not all the details about how to communicate with the instructor?
No, those you'd probably put in your syllabus.
Right.
It's more just a personal welcome, especially in online. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, how long should that be? How sort of wordy?
As long as it needs to be.
Okay.
We're mainly concerned in the course with you being able to demonstrate that you can use the tools and that you have the idea that we're talking about, but that's really up to you. The length and what's in there is really up to you. Just keep in mind that students in online courses tend to feel a sense of psychological isolation that we can all relate to right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And anything you can do to alleviate that significantly increases the probability that they'll stick it out and benefit from the course. So that's one of the reasons that so much of the course here talks about putting you into your course.
Okay.
You being a human presence in the course and being in communication with your students on a regular and extensive basis. That really reaps benefits later on because the students feel much more comfortable in the course. They feel like something does go wrong, they have someone to contact,
right,
and so on. So,
and when they say specific resources to share with the students in the first week, are those like specific resources you would share right throughout the course, or just?
Yeah, well, especially things that you'd go over the first day in class.
Okay.
Things that that they're going to need in order to be successful in the course, though there's no limit to the number of times you could remind them of the availability of resources, or there's just no such thing as over communicating in an online course.
Okay.
Or as the old saying goes, the three most important things in an online course are communication, communication, and communication. So,
and then
is there anything? Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I don't want to interrupt you. Sorry. It says you have to make comments with at least 2 of your colleagues with suggestions and ideas. Is that something that's posted, and you have to go onto that after you've answered the?
Well, that would be in a discussion forum. Let's take a look at that assignment. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Thank you so much.
You bet. I'll be doing that most of the day. I can get my cursor in the right place there. There we go. And let me pull my Canvas dashboard over here. Of course, the course we're talking about here is the Online Faculty Certification Program for 2019-2020, which you should see on your, if you're enrolled in the course, you should see this on your dashboard. And when you first log into Canvas, you should also see a development shell, a generic development shell, not a development shell that you're going to use to develop one of the courses that you teach, but rather a generic practice development shell that you can use in the process of completing the assignments in the training course. there will be many things that you'll be asked to do in the training course, or the assignments will be presented to you in the training course, that will require you to have instructor access to a Canvas shell in order to carry out. And of course, in the training course, you are enrolled with the role of student. So when you're asked to say upload a syllabus or create a module or a homework assignment or a quiz, you can't do that in the training course per se. You have to go to your development shell, do it there, then go back into the training course and usually type out some answers to some reflection questions in a homework assignment, which you then submit so that the graders know that you've done the activity and can go and look both at your reflection responses in the training course and to your practice course, where they can see that you've done what the activity requested. So that's the general process of taking this course. Of course, there are some things you can do in the training course itself, which includes the participation in the discussion forums. So let's go take a look at that in Module 3. Of course, you'll only be able to see the modules that you've completed and the one you're currently working on. The course is set so that you don't see the next module until you've completed the previous one. This is a pedagogical technique that is common in online courses. It is not universally preferred by online faculty. Some people just open up all their modules at the beginning of the course and let the students work through them at their more or less at their own pace. So it just depends on your preferences. And some types of students benefit more from one approach or the other, but it's really more a matter of your personal preferences there. Okay, here we go. The 3.3 discussion, welcoming your students, is the one we're talking about right now. This is a typical discussion forum. You start here at the top with the description and instruction prompts for this discussion forum. And this is kind of the beginning of the idea of humanizing your course, putting yourself in there, making it seem to the students that they're dealing with a human being rather than a robot. Being too detached in an online course has negative impacts in most cases on your students. So this is just a start, and this whole module is designed to provide you with techniques that have worked for people in the past in connecting and engaging with their students. Here you're given your, that's just resubmitting there. So here are your directions. Things that they want you to answer in this particular forum. And something that is a little bit hard or easy to miss, and this is something to think about for your students, when you have an extensive set of description and instructions here for a discussion forum, it can be a little easy for the students to miss this reply button here. Also, while the we think of this as posting to the discussion forum, Canvas uses the term reply because you are replying to whatever prompt was provided to you up here. So a little bit of a difference in terminology. So to type in your initial response to these questions here, these 4 questions, you hit the reply button. And curiously enough, the mouse cursor doesn't change when you mouse over the word reply, doesn't change into a pointing finger or an arrow or anything. It shows as an I-bar, a text entry cursor, which is kind of confusing. But once you click on the word reply, you get this rich content editor box, a standard text editor and media editor that you have available in so many places in Canvas, and you type your response to those questions here. And that's your initial response to the prompts up here. But then in this question, you're also under item number 4 here, asked to reply to at least 2 of your colleagues with comments, suggestions, and ideas, preferably positive comments. You know, if you don't have something positive to say, don't say anything. Well, we would like you to have something positive to say, and I'm sure you would all do that. So here are then the current responses to this, and there are many hundreds of people in this course right now. So if you look over here on the right, you can see the size of this scroll bar biscuit here is so small that there are a ton of responses to this already. So it's very easy to just roll down and find something that you'd like to reply to. And if you wanted, say, to reply to Edgar here, at the bottom of each of these posts, there's another reply button. So when you find a post that you have something that interests you, especially, and that you have something to say about, you just click on this reply button, and you'll get you'll get that rich content editor, and you can type a reply. And we ask you to do that twice in the thing. And when we go to grade, interestingly enough, when we look at this, at your responses to this discussion forum in the Speedgrader, the inline grading tool in Canvas, we'll see not only your initial post, but also your 2 replies right below it. And so it's very easy to grade participation in a discussion forum that way. And that's something you'll, of course, be doing with your own students. And grading, we do have we've done a number of seminars over the months on grading in Canvas, both how to manipulate the grade book and how to actually grade assessments in Canvas, that you can always go back and look at the recordings of. Indeed, we have another one scheduled not too far in the future here. And you can always find those recordings of earlier sessions like this one and just about everything we do in our open on-demand video tutorial website at sdccdolvid.org. And I'll put that in the chat tool. That's a link you need. And this recording will be up there pretty promptly. Takes a few hours for it to render in some cases, depending on how busy my computer is otherwise. But there's at the bottom of the chat tool, there's the link to that website. Yes.
So sorry, just one more question. When you are commenting on your colleagues, is it something they've posted regarding their own course that you are commenting on, or is it just
yes.
comments that, so it's
well, you can comment on any of the posts that you see. It could be somebody's reply to someone else. And you could reply to their reply.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's what I was.
You could reply to any of these that struck your interest.
Oh, okay. Great.
Anything, especially anywhere or anything that you feel you might have something to offer, because this is meant to be not just an activity to show that you can use the discussion forum, but also an opportunity to learn what other people are doing to put themselves into their courses. So it's an encouragement. This to reply rule is really an encouragement to you to read a number of the posts that are already there. Obviously, it would be difficult to read them all in a course this size. but picking some out, particularly some of the more recent ones, because those folks are likely to still be active in the course, and they'll see your reply and they'll benefit from it too. So staying fairly high in that, or going, I should, actually they're in reverse chronological order, the ones at the top are the oldest. So going down to the bottom somewhere and picking something is probably a good idea, because those folks are more likely to have actually, well, let's see. Let me see how this thing is set. Actually, I'm not sure. Yeah. Actually, they seem to be ranked by activity. So anywhere in this list is fine. So that's all there is to it. You just post and then reply to a couple of posts and you're done with this one. That should take probably 10, 15 minutes, plus the time it takes to think of what to say.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dave.
You bet. Let me go back up and take another look here at the chat tool. Well, can I please review module 2? Sure. What about module 2 is of particular interest to you?
Hello, sir. I submitted that question.
Good.
I'll be honest, I don't have a particular question on module 2. I'm just kind of stuck on module 2. I think this is where I am to upload a video, but also to be mindful that my students can also read what I'm posting as well to be within compliance.
Right. Module 2 is the reading module. There's a remarkable amount of textual material in module 2, and it deals primarily with, as the title suggests, with the distance education guidelines, the regulations and rules that we have to follow in order to comply with state and local policies on online education. And and accreditation requirements, things like that. So there's a lot of reading. They've done a nice job of breaking it up so no one page is too long. And that's a good bit of course design. You want to chunk your content into pieces that are small enough that the students can get a sense of accomplishment by finishing one in some reasonable amount of time, a half hour or less, so that they have this feeling that they're making progress in the course. That's a huge thing. If you could almost put your entire course on one long page, but that would be demoralizing to say the least. So they've done a pretty good job of that here, but there's still a lot of reading material. Indeed, the 3 assessments in this are a graded discussion, which is really a media production assignment, item 2.7, and then a graded assignment and a quiz over the material that you've been asked to read. The quiz is an actual quiz, a graded quiz. You can take it twice, and we'll give you the higher of the 2 grades. You'll of course learn something from going through it the first time, and we usually see the second grade be higher, but not always. We're not so much interested in evaluating anybody in this course. We're just trying to give you the maximum opportunity to learn and make it as easy as possible. So we're going to give you as many chances as you need, basically, to learn the material. And the bulk of the grades are in the discussions, the discussion assessments, the graded discussions, and the homework assignments. And those you can participate in as many times as you need to. You can post to the discussions as often as you like, and you can resubmit the homework assignments where you upload something or perform something in your practice course and then come back and talk about it in the training course. You can do those as many times as you like, and we'll keep grading it until you get enough points to pass the course, basically is the way it works. No one should ever, the idea is not to have anyone ever fail this course, just a matter of learning the material. We try to give you enough contact with it to make that a high likelihood. Indeed, the average grade in this course, if you look at the course statistics, is something on the order of 96%. So it, a little bit of grade inflation here, but our purpose here is not to give grades. It's just to give you the maximum opportunity to learn what you need to learn about online pedagogy and about the use of Canvas before you're in a situation where you're teaching fully online in the summer or in the, it looks now like the fall as well. So it's a, and the absolute best way to learn to teach online is to take an online course as a student. That's the first step everyone should have. And this course is designed to ensure that everyone who teaches online has taken at least one online course as a student. You learn more that way, quite frankly, than you do in seminars or in practicing in courses where you're the instructor. It's just a different experience. Okay, so I know we'll have lots of questions about item 2.7 here in module 2. This is the one that hangs everybody up, and it is quite a new effort for a lot of people, so that's understandable, though we've gone to great lengths to try to make sure that this is not overly difficult to do. It's just there are a number of moving parts to it. It's in this section on regulations and rules because of the captioning requirement for online video. If you're going to use video in your course, and we dearly hope you will, because in an online course, video is probably the single most powerful instructional tool you have, at least right in line after textual material. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, how many words are 30 pictures a second worth, which is what you have with a video. So it's an incredibly information dense medium, and one that's especially effective in online courses because you're not there in the classroom with the students. Though you may well be lecturing live using Zoom and so on, but still your students will be able to view those recordings over and over again. So video is an exceptionally powerful instructional medium, always has been since the 1940s. But now it's gotten to the point where anyone can be a video creator. And faculty can produce hours and hours and hours of instructional video for their students with relatively little expense and not a tremendous amount of effort. But it's critical that this video be accessible to students with disabilities, notably students who are hearing impaired and who cannot hear your narration. And that's, of course, where captions come in. And this assignment is designed to make sure that you can create a video, put that video online, and ensure that it's accessible to students with hearing impairment. So it's one of the more critical bits of knowledge, and it's something that people are less likely than most to be familiar with. So what are you asked to do here? You're asked to create a video of your own. We're not we won't be happy with a video that someone else created that you captioned or something like that. We want you to be able to create it yourself by any one of a number of approaches. Put it online, which usually means putting it on YouTube, and then getting it captioned. Getting it captioned is no problem. If you put it on YouTube, YouTube will caption it automatically. But we do ask that you edit the captions for accuracy. As good as YouTube's automatic captions are, they're still not perfect. And we want to ensure that you know how to edit the captions, even though sometimes it may not be necessary to do so in your own courses. But we want to make sure that you know how, because there will be times when YouTube captioning will miss a word, particularly a technical term that's not in its vocabulary. So it's critical that you know how to edit those captions. So create, put it online, caption, and edit automatic captions. For creating the video, we'll accept any means that you might be familiar with, but the two most common means for creating a video simply, especially if you haven't done it before, are to, one, record a video using your smartphone, usually just a talking head video of yourself welcoming your students or something like that. That's perfectly acceptable for this assignment anyway, and it's a great idea. It really does make your students see you as a person rather than a disembodied presence in the course. So that's a worthwhile thing to do in any case. But you could do any other type of video. You could go out and, if you were teaching a biology course, you could go out in the field and video some animal behavior or botanical specimens or whatever, and talk about them. You know, you're limited only by your imagination. And your smartphone has an excellent camera in it. It's a wonderful video production tool that would have been the envy to die for a video producer 20 years ago. I couldn't imagine just walking around with a high quality video camera in your pocket that was available at a moment's notice. I mean, it's a tremendous tool. The other possibility, if you don't own a smartphone, and I know some people do not, or a phone with the capability to record video, well, even most flip phones will do that, but still, if you prefer not to do that, you can always do what's called a screencast, which is recording your computer screen and explaining something that's on the screen to your students with a voiceover. That's called screencasting. And there's a free tool you can use for that. But the vast majority of people are probably just going to use their smartphones, and they're just going to do a basic welcome video. And that's just fine for satisfying this requirement. Let me pull out my smartphone here.
Hey, Dave, I had a question about that.
Go right ahead.
I'm just wondering if they're, like for something like this, I don't know how long, I don't know what should be in it. Is there a place we could go to see a sample welcome video, for instance?
Sure. This is a discussion forum. There are dozens of sample videos here.
Okay. That's on the on-demand, the OVID website?
No, I'm sorry. This is the discussion forum in Module 2 in the online training.
Oh, all right. Right in there.
Yeah, there's literally hundreds of videos in here to look at.
Okay.
And in answer to your question about how long, a minute or so, I'd keep it as short as I could, because you're going to have to edit the captions. And that's the only part of this that takes any time at all.
Oh, okay.
And
So
if your
there is a-
video is a minute to 2 minutes long, it's going to take you 5 or 10 minutes to edit the captions is all. Really, this can be carried out, as you're going to see here, in 5 or 10 minutes from start to finish.
Okay.
Okay.
But there's
So
a talking head video in this section.
oh yeah, there's tons of them.
All right. Okay.
If you look, there are each of those discussion forums or each of those initial posts has a video link in it. If
Okay.
indeed it is correctly done, there'll be a link, and you just click on that link and you can watch other people's videos.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello.
Thank you.
Dave, but I think you can't see them unless you post first.
That is true. Sorry. That's true. I forgot they have that set here. Well, I'm not quite sure why. Actually, let me check that.
I found the instructional video of how to do that super helpful. I went through
and there are instructional videos right in the instructions, but I'm looking to see if that is set. No, you do not have to post first in order to see other people's videos. This one's not set that way. I couldn't imagine why it would be, because obviously it's helpful for you to see what some other people have done, and it's not like you're going to be able to copy their video or anything like that. Besides, we don't really care. We just want to make sure you get the idea and you can use this. So excellent. That is not a problem. You can view those videos to your heart's content before you start. But we're really we're not into critiquing your performance here. We just want to make sure that your students would be able to see and hear what you do, and that you've made an effort here to put yourself out there for your students. If indeed you choose to do just a little welcome talking head type video. To do that, of course, I would guess that most of us have made videos on our smartphones, but let's go through that process on one type of smartphone anyway. I'm going to use a technique in Zoom here that's extremely useful if you are lecturing in Zoom. And that's a so-called USB connected document camera. Go to my IPEVO visualizer. The document camera I have here is made by a company called IPEVO. It's one of the best companies doing this. And the camera works with a piece of software provided for free by IPEVO, which will allow you to share on your desktop or on your computer screen what the camera sees. And since I'm sharing my screen with you in Zoom, you see what my camera sees. It's not perfect right this minute, obviously, because for one thing, it's upside down. That's not helpful. The document cameras tend to have fairly simple lenses, and they can't erect the image optically, so you have to do it in software like this, which is not a big deal, that erects the image and makes sure that it's not mirrored right to left so that people can read whatever happens to be, whatever you write on a piece of paper, or whatever you show on this a three-dimensional object on the screen. It has text
Dave?
on it. You can read it. Yes.
Did you just press share on the bottom to have the camera alerted?
Right. I was already sharing my screen from some time ago, but that's what I did when I started sharing my screen.
So you press share, and then what did you press next to alert the camera?
In order to start to bring up the image of my camera onto my computer screen, I ran a piece of software called the IPEVO visualizer. So I just ran that from my start menu here in Windows. Or I could have run it from an icon on my desktop or whatever. However, I would normally start
So
that.
that's the IPvo visualizer.
That's what you're seeing here is the IPvo visualizer software. Whoop. There we go. That you can, if you buy this kind of camera, you can download for free from the IPvo website. They used to ship it with the camera on a CD. I just don't know why they don't do that anymore. I guess.
No, they don't.
Yeah, mine did not come with it.
Yeah, I know. And that's kind of chintzy, but I do have a tutorial on how to download and install the software. It takes 5 minutes to get it running on your computer. It's just seems like an added complication you shouldn't have to go through after you just spent $100 on the camera. They could have included a 10-cent CD with the thing. I don't know.
So do you have to email them or go to their website?
No. You can just go right to their website at, let me get that up here, ipevo.com, ipevo.com. No idea where they got the name. And there's on their website, there's a software section. And you download, here's the IPvo visualizer software. You just download that for free. There's a version for the Mac and one for the PC. You download and install that and plug your camera in, and that's all you have to do. You just run the software, and the software pops up this window that has what the camera is seeing in it. And you can do things like zooming in and so on. Again, this is kind of not exactly the topic of this session, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it is, we do have tutorials on how to do this as well on that on-demand website.
Okay.
Okay, so now we just want to record a video. And it's pretty much the same on either major type of phone. Now, this is an iPhone, a very old iPhone, but the Android phones work basically the same way. There's a camera app on the phone. You just open that app and tell it you want to make a video. On the iPhone, there's a little video option right here. Just tap that. And of course, right now it's trying to use the back camera on the phone, which is the better camera. But if you're making a video of yourself, you're probably going to be using the selfie camera, the one on the front of the phone. Those are good enough now. They'll certainly be adequate for this task. There's a button somewhere on the phone, in this case, in the lower right on this one, that will allow you to switch to your front camera.
Okay.
Now it sees my document camera looking down at it. And I just have to, it's always a bit of a gymnastic feat here to show you what I'm doing and do it at the same time. I just have to kind of tip this thing a bit until I can get myself in the picture. Obviously I start the recording by tapping on the big red button. The big red button is always record on any piece of video equipment. So I'll tap that, I'll speak a little bit, and then I'll stop it. That's all there is to it. So, hi everyone, welcome to today's class on the Online Faculty Certification Program. This video is done in aid of illustrating your completion of Activity 2.7 in Module 2 on creating a video, putting it online, and editing the captions that are produced automatically. And
it looked like it was recorded.
It didn't take. I didn't hit the button.
I
was worried too much about the angle. All right, we'll try that again.
Wasn't recording.
Press. Now we're recording because you can see the little round button is turned into a square. Hi everyone, welcome to this afternoon's session on the Online Faculty Certification Program training course. This video is made in aid of illustrating the process of fulfilling activity 2.7 in module 2. I press the button again, it stops the recording. So I have a recording on here. If you are on an Android phone at this point, you could upload this to YouTube automatically right from here, because YouTube is a Google product, as is Android. But with the iPhone, you've got to go through a little bit more in the way of hoops. Once I record the video, my camera app, I just leave the camera app. I press my home button on the iPhone. And now I need to find, assuming you're going to put this up on YouTube, I need to find the YouTube app. There is another easy way to do this, and I'll talk about it in a minute, that would not involve your smartphone and YouTube. I've had a couple of folks who just didn't want to deal with Google at all, and as a result, objected to using YouTube. And there is a way you can do this without dealing with YouTube, but let's take it the easy way first and use YouTube. YouTube is a tremendous video storage and service application. It's the third most commonly visited site on the web. It's an amazing repository of instructional video, among all the cat videos and fashion influencers and things like that. There's a tremendous amount of valuable instructional content on YouTube as well. And it's perfectly free for you to add your own instructional videos to and share them with your students. It is the best instructional video site and tool on the web, and it's completely free, so it's hard to beat. So to get this video up onto YouTube, I go to the YouTube app on my smartphone, and I have to be logged in to my YouTube account. I have to have a YouTube account and I have to be logged into it. I know I am here because if you look over here in the upper right-hand corner, I can see a tiny little picture of myself. Let me try to make this visualizer window a little bigger so you can see some of this a little bit easier. That's another trick for using a document camera, is keep this this window as big as you can. So what if I'm not logged into YouTube? Well, if you're not logged into YouTube, you'll be prompted to do so when you go into your YouTube app on your phone or on your computer. If you use any of Google's major services like Gmail or Google Docs, you already have a YouTube account. Indeed, your YouTube account is just your Google account. A Google account works with all of their various services that they provide, mostly for free.
So Dave, if I have a Gmail account, so when I sign into YouTube, I would put in my Gmail password?
I couldn't have said it any better myself. Exactly. You just log in with the same credentials you use to log into Gmail or Google Docs. It's one account, covers all. When you first log into YouTube, you will be asked to create a video channel, which is just a place to put your videos. You can create multiple channels if you like, but I only have one, and I have like 600 videos on YouTube or something like that. You don't have to have more than one. But you will be prompted to create that, and they just give you a couple of buttons you punch and you're done. Another thing you want to do, if you're going to be putting videos of any length onto YouTube, is to verify your YouTube account. Once you have it, let me just get this out of the way for the moment and show you how to do that. Let's see, I've got YouTube up here somewhere, don't I? Here's a whole window full of YouTube links, or YouTube tabs. Let me get rid of some of this so it's not quite as confusing as it might otherwise be. Oops, that wasn't the one I wanted to get stuck on, was it? We'll look at that in a minute. Trying to get back to the opening page here, sorry. Come on. Let's move it. And let's go back to YouTube.
Dave, while you're pulling your YouTube back up, I have a real quick question.
Sure.
When you are submitting your completed video in Canvas, you're just submitting it to a continuing discussion, correct?
Yes.
All right, so it's
Correct.
just basically the line there that says reply, you click on that, and then you submit your video, correct?
Correct. You submit the link to your video.
The link to the video, okay.
That's all there is to it, indeed.
Okay, I
And
wanted to make sure that is where I was supposed to put it. That was my only real question.
Oh, cool. You're done, man.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you bet. All right, now let me bring the, when you go to YouTube, there'll be a sign-in button up here in the upper right. You just sign in with your Google account. If you don't have a Google account, you can go to accounts.google.com, plural, accounts plural.google.com, and you can create a Google account here. It's free. Takes about 5 minutes. They send you a code. You fill out some information. They send you a code on either by email or a text to your smartphone. You do have to provide them with a number of a cell phone number in order to get the code. And then you type the code back to them. They know you're a person, not a robot, and you've got a Google account. You also, once you create your Google account, you want to verify your YouTube account further. Again, reassuring Google that you are a person. You do that by going to youtube.com/verify. youtube.com/verify. And mine's already verified, so I don't have to do it again. But if yours is not, you'll be, again, they'll send you a code. You type the code in, and you'll be verified as a person, not a bot. And you'll be able to upload videos longer than 15 minutes in length. If you ever get to a point where you're trying to upload a video that's a little bit longer than your norm, and YouTube refuses to do it, then you just haven't verified your YouTube account yet. That only takes 5 minutes or less as well. So you got to have a YouTube account and you got to have it verified. Though probably you wouldn't have to have it verified just to do this, because you're not probably going to record a 15-minute video to satisfy activity 2.7. There's no point in it. So let's get back to on the phone. Let's get back to the YouTube app. Whoa. All right, refocus. And sometimes this software will crash when you go out and come back in and then refocus. We'll see. It is not entirely, it's not entirely stable. It's not something you'd probably be doing with your document camera anyway, unless you were teaching somebody how to use it. All right, now we're back. So I have to do the whole rotate thing again and so on. It's a little irritating, but it's not the end of the world. Rotate. And probably zoom in a little bit. Got a zoom button there so you can see a little better. Okay, we're back. Now, in the upper right-hand corner here of your YouTube app display, there's a little button that looks like a tiny little camera. Let me zoom in on that a little further so you can see that. Doesn't look much like a camera, but there it is. That's the button you're interested in. That's the create or upload button to actually put something up from your phone onto YouTube. So I tap that, being sure I hit it. And now I got to zoom back out again for you to see what's actually going on. Okay, so YouTube gives you 3 options here. You could have actually recorded the video right from within the YouTube app. I showed you doing it showed myself doing it the other way because you're probably more familiar with the camera app than you are with the YouTube app on the phone. But you could have recorded your video right here, or you could broadcast live on YouTube to the world. Kind of like one-way Zoom, only there's no limit to the number of people who can see it. And it's kind of cool if you think about it. You can be your own TV station on YouTube if you want to do that. But the third option YouTube gives you is it shows you the last half dozen or so videos that you've recorded on your phone. And the most recent one is always in the upper left. So this is the one we just recorded. So to upload that, to start the process of uploading that video, all I have to do is tap on the little icon for that video. I get I can play through this. Come on. I missed my chance there. It gave me an option to play it, and I was talking. Anyway, we saw the video, and it was fine. So at this point, we just go to the next button. You could trim the video at this point, but we're just not that worried about that right this moment. You click next. You get a little information here. You're told where you shot the video, things like that. You're not really interested. You know where you were, unless you're like me and you can't remember what you had for breakfast, but that's another problem. And now you have a little option in the upper right-hand corner. It's a little hard to see because this is not great contrast here. I can zoom in a little bit. You can see right here the word upload. If I just hit that upload button, that's all you have to do to put the video, assuming you're logged into YouTube, that's all you have to do to put your video on YouTube. Is hit next, select the video, hit next, and then hit upload. And it's uploading. You can see the progress on the little blue bar there. It's processed 95% of the video. What's happening here is that the video is uploading to YouTube and then is being processed by YouTube into a format that fits with YouTube's display needs. And there it is. There's the video we just uploaded, just that fast. Just doesn't take any time at all. We could actually continue to do the rest of this on the phone, but it's easier to see it on the computer. So I'm gonna move away from the phone now and go to YouTube, to my YouTube account. Again, if I haven't already logged in, I'll have a sign in button in the upper right, and I just log in with my Google credentials. And once I do that, I'll see a circle appear in the upper right-hand corner of the YouTube opening page, which will either have a picture of yourself in it, if you've uploaded a profile image to your Google account, or if you haven't, just a silhouette person outline, like one of those targets they hang out in the police pistol ranges. And you just click on that target and you get a menu that has to do with your video channel, your storage location for your videos on YouTube. And you'll want to go to YouTube Studio, which is the third link. That's your management tool for your videos that you upload to YouTube. First thing you'll see is just a general information page about your channel. I've got 114 subscribers, which is pretty anemic given that I've used YouTube since 2007. But a lot of people have viewed my videos elsewhere. I do have several hundred videos up there. And I see things about my channel and so on. But if I want to see the videos that I've uploaded, I go to this menu on the left-hand side here, and the second option is my video list. I just click on that, and I'll see the last whatever videos I've uploaded. And the one at the top of the list will be the one we just uploaded. There it is. If I want to look at it, I can click on the icon and then click again here where it says View on YouTube. And here's that video. My phone. Uh-oh. What happened there? I got, oh, 1 second. Geez, I got the wrong video. Oops. Well, let's do that again then. These things will happen. Let's go back and upload another video.
It was probably the one that wasn't recording.
Yeah, most likely. This one has 32 seconds. That seems more likely. Let's play a little bit of this. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's session on the online faculty certification. That looks like the right one. Now I can next and upload again. That's how long that takes. Nothing much to it. I do need to focus my camera again because I got my finger in there. And there it is, uploading. You can see it upload. Didn't hurt to repeat that anyway. Now YouTube is processing it into a format that will work with YouTube servers, so it can be viewed by you or your students or anyone to whom you provide the URL for the video. Bingo, there it is. Actually, that's the other one. If I refresh the display, I should see that new one pop up in a second. There it is. The second one we did on May the 11th. So now I can go back to YouTube to I can get rid of these these suggested videos. I can go back to my YouTube Studio and my video list. And there's the second one. And let's see, this should be a lot more like what we want. Now we're recording because you can see the little round button is turned into a square. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon. Not great art, but it's up there and it's ready to go. Except for one thing. There's no little closed caption button down here, no CC symbol. That means that the video has not yet been captioned. That's normal. It will usually take YouTube a few minutes to maybe a few hours, depending on the size of the video, to get it automatically captioned. There's an automated process, a daemon that runs through all the freshly uploaded YouTube videos every few minutes and starts captioning them, listening or evaluating the soundtrack, converting it to text, and then chopping up the text into 2-line captions that display in synchrony with the soundtrack. That's a fiendishly complicated process to automate. Took Google years to get that to even start working. And it's been 7 or 8 years since they started that, and they've gotten so good at it that there's very seldom much to do in the way of editing, but we do ask that you edit your captions to show that you can. We probably won't be able to do that on this particular video because it is not, it's going to be a few minutes and we don't want to have to wait for that. So let me go back to my, my channel list, and we'll pick another one to play with. That's not too long. This looks like it looks like the same thing I did the last time we had this class, so let's pick that one. It's only 39 seconds. You really don't want to, there's no point in having to edit an extremely long video here. So keeping this little message to, you want it to be something you could actually use in a course, but it doesn't have to be very long. So keeping it to a minute or so is a pretty good idea. In order to look at this video and see if the captions are in fact there, I can again bring this video up by clicking on its icon. And now we're recording. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session on instructional video. Okay. And I have captions. That's what this little symbol tells me. To turn them on, I would just click that symbol. Production today. This is a demonstration video recorded on an iPhone, a smartphone, using the native camera app that comes with the phone. Okay, fine. The captions are there, but they're not perfect. There were 1 or 2 words there that were a little off. Actually, the main reason the captions aren't perfect is that my diction was not perfect. I stumbled over a word, but that will happen. That's fine. Also, you'll note there are no caps or periods at the beginning and ends of sentences, which usually is all you have to do in editing a YouTube video. It's the caption editing is so, or caption creation process is so good. Once you get that up there, you then can edit those captions by clicking here where it says edit video. This is one way to get to it anyway. You could also go into your YouTube studio and pull up the page on this video and edit from there. That's where we're going to end up anyway. We're going to go to the details page for this video in your YouTube account, video details. And on the left here, you have a little menu, and at the bottom of that menu is the word subtitles. I've been using the term captions, and indeed YouTube uses the term captions when you're playing the video, but here they talk about subtitles. There is a technical distinction between subtitles and captions, but you don't care about it right now. Subtitles are captions, vice versa. So just click on the word subtitles in that menu, and you'll see whatever caption tracks you have. One of the things you can do here is add another language. Let's say you have a lot of Spanish-speaking students. You'd like to have a Spanish caption track for your video where they hear the English but see the Spanish translation below it. You can do that here. YouTube supports 40-some languages. Even Tagalog. You have a lot of Filipino students in your class. You can have a Tagalog track and so on. All of this meets the requirement or the dictates of Clarke's first law, which says that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So this is magic, but what the heck? It's free and we can use it, so we don't care. Presumably, we're not putting our immortal souls at risk by using it. So we have here an automatic caption track, and then we have the option to add another caption track if we have some captions in a file that we can upload. That's unlikely. So in most cases, we're going to take this automatic caption track, which is so labeled, and we're going to edit it if we need to. And to do that, we'll need to go just move our mouse cursor onto this detail line here for the automatic caption track and go out to this little options menu at the far right. The 3 vertical dots designate a menu, a standard notation in Google products. And you click on that menu and there's an option to edit. And what they mean is edit the captions in this case, since you are looking at the caption track. So you just click that option. And this interface does change from time to time, unfortunately, but this should be good for next, as long as you're in this course, it should be good. I don't see Google changing this immediately. So this brings up your video and your captions. You can see them over here. Here's a window where you can play the video and look at the captions. And there's a button marked Edit. If you click on Edit, then you get the captions over here in an editable format. You can click into these text box and edit these captions. In some cases, you can just edit the captions without even playing the video because the captions are good enough that you can tell what's going on. But just to be on the safe side, we can play a little bit of the video and read the caption and see if they correspond. And now we're recording. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session. Well, that first one was pretty much perfect, except there's not a capital letter at the beginning. And now we're recording, period. And then a new sentence starts. So all I'm going to have to do in this caption is put in caps and periods. And now we're recording. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session on instructional video production today. This is a demonstration video recorded. Period. Capital T. And you just keep going. You keep playing and stopping. Our session on instructional video production today. This is a demonstration video recorded on an iPhone, a smart. Well, my tongue-tiedness confused it, so a video recorded on an iPhone instead of and. I can fix that. That probably wouldn't have bothered a hearing impaired student, but so you just play the video and the captions. It's a little tedious, but it's not in any way difficult to do. This is something that's very practical to do for videos, say 10 minutes or less. Wouldn't take you very long to edit the captions. If it's a Zoom recording that's 2 hours long from a class session, ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna do it. Nobody's gonna do it. But we want to make sure you know how to do it. So we're going to ask you to edit the captions cleanly on your YouTube video. And no matter how good the automatic captions are, we're going to be able to tell whether you've edited them or not. So if you'll just go through this process to the end of your video, which won't take you very long at all, and make all the editing changes needed. And when you're done, just click Save Changes. And those captions are now, the edits are now reflected in the captions. And now we're recording. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session on instructional video production today. And that's all there is to it. You now have a video on YouTube, which you made, and which has English subtitles, captioned, that have been edited. You're basically done, except of course you have to let us know that you did it and give us access to your video, because otherwise we wouldn't have access to it. And that brings us to one other issue about this video that we have to take care of here. If we go back to YouTube Studio from the caption editing interface and go to our videos and find that video. This was the one right here that I was using. And go to the details page for this video again. I could either click that here or just click on the video icon and get to the same place. One thing I do have to check is the visibility setting on YouTube for the video. There are three options: public, unlisted, and private. Private, you don't want. Even though say, I don't want anybody to see this except you, I'm going to make it private. No, that won't work. We won't be able to see it. Setting up a video to be viewed as with private setting is very tedious, complex. You have to specifically enter the email addresses for every person you want to be able to see it. They have to have a Google account, and they have to be logged into YouTube in order to view the video. We won't be able to do that. So you're going to make your video either unlisted or public. In this case, probably unlisted. Unless you're going to use this in a course, and you can make it public if you like. If the rule of thumb is if it's something that's likely to be of interest, general interest to the public, and if the video contains no confidential information, like students' names, and if you're comfortable with it, it's your video after all, you can make it public. Then it can be searched for on YouTube. People can find it and view it without any intervention on your part. If you make the video unlisted, it becomes effectively private, and the only people who can watch it are people to whom you give the link, the video link, either in an email or in a link in Canvas. So the vast majority of the time, your videos will probably be unlisted. So be sure it's either unlisted or public at least, or we won't be able to grade it, and we'll ask you to go in and fix that. The other thing you need here is the video link, which is provided conveniently right above the visibility box here on the video details page. You just need this on your clipboard in order to be able to provide it to us in the discussion forum on Canvas. You can copy that to your clipboard in the usual way by highlighting it and right-clicking it and copying it, or you can just click this little copy box here, copy icon, that will also copy it right to your clipboard. At this point, and the question we had earlier, now what do you do with it? Well, you go back to Canvas. Whoops, that's not the Canvas instance I was using. You go back to topic 2.7, which is a discussion forum. So you go and you reply, use the top reply button in the discussion forum. Click on that. Type something to the effect of, here's my video. And paste in the URL for the video. And hit post reply, and you're done. I'm going to cancel out of this because I don't want my little video gunking up the works there. But that's all there is to it. Once you have the video ready to go, you just reply to the initial prompt in the discussion forum, put your video in there. In this case, I don't think you were even asked to comment on other people's videos. I'm not sure I'd want to hear the comments on mine. So you're done. And that tends to be the most difficult of all the activities in the training course. That's the one that hangs people up more often than anything else. That's how to do it using a smartphone. As I said earlier, you can also use a tool called Screencast-O-Matic to make a screencast. If you prefer, screencasts are instructionally more useful because you can actually do more than just talk to your students about something. You can use visual aids that you can bring up on your screen, a PowerPoint presentation, you can record and narrate a PowerPoint presentation that way and things like that. So that's likely to be a more instructionally useful thing. But we cover that sort of thing in another tutorial. Though if you have any questions about doing something like that, let me know. We have tutorials for that. I'll be happy to send those to you. But this, what I've just shown you, is the sort of the minimum, the easiest way to satisfy this requirement. And it takes a tiny fraction of the amount of time it took for me to show you how to do it, to actually do it. The whole thing can be done in 5 to 10 minutes. So when you have more, if you have more questions about that, you're more than welcome to email me. Let me put my email address in the chat tool. Always welcome to email me with questions. And I put that in the bottom of the chat tool. All right, that was something I knew we'd need to go over today, so we've taken care of that. Let's keep going. I just finished 1.7, I think, question mark. How will I know it's done? Is it sent off to instructors, then posted, or just posted? The instructors will be able to find your post in the discussion forum. Let's look at 1.7. It's a discussion. Yep. Your instructors could just come here and look for your name, but this is a long list of posts. Once you post here and you see your own post, you're done. Just move on. And when the instructor goes, when the grader goes into the grade book, they will see for you a little symbol in the cell in the grade book that corresponds to discussion topic 1.7. A little icon that says there's a submission, that this person has submitted this, and be able to tell without having to go and look for you in that long list of posts. And then they can go into what's called the Speedgrader, the inline grading interface, and they can pull up your posts and grade them almost immediately. And if you have followed done what asked in these 4 questions here, in about 2 seconds, they'll give you full credit and move on. So that's all you have to do is post and move on. Okay. When the meeting is recorded, how will we have access to it when we have to sign out to teach? I hope I got to this in time. Our Zoom recordings are all put on our open on-demand website under Workshop Archives at the top of the screen. There's a menu right at the top of the screen. Workshop Archives is all of our recorded Zoom sessions. And here's the last time we did this session on May 4th. And that one's there right now. This one will appear in the same place. And the upper left, the most recent recordings are in the upper left. and then they go on down until you have pages of there. We have 6 pages of seminar recordings here, 12 a page. So there's a ton of them. We've done this more than once. So you have access not only to the recording of this session, but any of the other sessions we've done as well.
Dave, I have a quick question on.
Good.
A little off, but I was looking into VPNs, and if I got one, would that affect my Zoom classes, or would that affect any of this?
A virtual private network is what you're referring to. It gives you greater privacy online.
Right.
It makes it highly unlikely that even your internet service provider could intercept your transmissions on the web and decipher them and use them for something else. VPNs have a slight performance penalty associated with them because they use a technique called IP tunneling, where basically the stream that you're sending out is encrypted, and it's encrypted on one end and automatically decrypted on the other end of the transmission, and nobody in between can tap into it and read it or view it. And there's some overhead to that. So if you have a borderline internet connection, a VPN can slow you down to the point where you can have problems. But you can usually turn them on and off, so it's not a big deal. It's a reasonable security precaution. Gives you that the vast majority of your transmissions back and forth on the internet are then encrypted, encoded, and can't be viewed. So there's no particular reason not to use a VPN as long as your performance remains acceptable. I have a VPN available on this system. I tend not to have it running with Zoom because there are times when Zoom doesn't need any extra slowing down, particularly the audio. So I typically don't have it running during a Zoom session. And Zoom uses its own encryption. They got dinged a few weeks ago by claiming what's called end-to-end encryption, which means it's encrypted from your computer all the way out to whatever other computers you might utilize on the web and back. There's never with end-to-end encryption, there's never any unencrypted traffic going anywhere. And Zoom was not quite exactly meeting that standard, and they sort of claimed they used the term end-to-end encryption in a way that was a little bit less rigorous than most security experts would use it. And they got called out for that, and they're working hard at improving. But that said, the chances of somebody intercepting the data stream from your Zoom meeting and actually being able to decode it and view it are so remote as to be meaningless. I mean, the NSA could do it. Probably the Chinese government could do it. But why would they bother? What we're doing is probably not of interest to people at these levels. So it's not something that I really worry about vis-a-vis. Zoom's encryption is really pretty good. And the chances of somebody intercepting these transmissions is so low as to be laughably unimportant.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question. But that doesn't mean that VPNs aren't good for other things. Like when I'm doing my banking, I darn well have my VPN turned on. Yes.
Dave, how do we see other people's comments on our work in Canvas?
Okay, you go to this immense discussion board and you find yourself on here. You can just scroll down until you find yourself, and if someone has replied to your post, you'll see it. I'm looking for a reply here. There we go. Here's a thread. Linda Osborne posted, and then Lawrence Hest replied. How do I know that this one is a reply to that one? Well, this little icon here, the avatar image, is indented a little bit underneath this one to the right. Also, the little circle here, see, this one's indented. Also, these 3 posts are separated from the other posts above and below them with some white space. So all of that tells me this is what's called a discussion thread. These are related posts. This post is a reply to that one. And this post is also a reply to that one, as opposed to being a reply to this one, because these 2 are at the same indentation level. It's a little hard to see, but you get an eye for it.
You have to find that discussion for
But now, how would you find your own post?
Yeah.
There's a search box at the top, thank goodness, right here. Okay. So if I want, let's see if there's somebody named Smith in there. That's a good bet, right? Yep. Smith. Okay, here's Elizabeth Smith, Cindy Smith. You can search for your last name, and your post will be winnowed out from all the others, along with any replies that you might have gotten. So you don't have to go through the whole thing to find yourself, thank goodness. Generally, that wouldn't be that much of an issue because discussions don't usually get this long. But when there are currently 700, almost 800 people enrolled in this particular Canvas shell right now. So these discussion boards get exceptionally unwieldy. Canvas was never really intended for courses to get this big.
So are they
such, the interface design begins to break down a little bit when you get to this size. Yes?
They're pretty behind in the grading?
As you might imagine. This course was originally conceived that we'd have 20 or 30 faculty in it at any given time, making, new faculty or people who are new to online would be taking it each semester. And now we've got, in a space of just a few weeks, we've had over 600 people added to the course. And there are about 4 or 5 people right now who can grade in this course. So, and the grading is not trivial because we try to model good feedback to you so that you can see how an online course should be conducted. And with those kind of disparities in numbers, we're struggling. We had a staff meeting this morning, and most of it was taken up with the effort to get more people who are competent to grade in the course working in it. They're looking for money to pay them and so on to try to ramp up the grading as quickly as possible. I will tell you that the vast majority of the time the grading is pretty much a rubber stamp. I mean, as long as you've met the minimum requirements of the assignment, you can be comfortable that you'll be fine. But I know we should be getting back to you sooner, but it's a challenge right now.
Is Module 6 the hardest one?
I'm sorry?
Is Module 6 the hardest one?
I don't know. I think that's a very personal thing. Some people have more trouble with that 2.7 than anything else. But we can certainly take a look at Module 6 if you have questions about that. Okay, let's see. Let's take a look at Module 6 here. Then we just had another question on that in the chat tool. I'll go to Modules and Module 6 on Canvas tools. This tends to be more the nuts and bolts of using Canvas. And there are a number of assignments in here, so it does take longer than some of the other modules. You're asked to create a module, a content page, choose a home page, and post your syllabus. And then you've also got creating a discussion, a calendar item, an assessment, quiz, using the Speedgrader to grade assignments, and tell us what needs you have for support. So yeah, there are more assignments in Module 6 than there are anywhere else. So it's going to take longer. No one of them is especially difficult, but it's certainly, there's a lot more activity in this module on your part than there is in some of the others, beyond just reading. So is there a particular assignment there that has been giving you trouble that you'd like to look at?
I'm not there yet, but I heard that it was hard.
Well, yeah, it certainly takes longer than some of the others.
Dave, I have a question.
Yes.
When students submit a written assignment and you turn on the Speedgrader, do they have to upload a file in order for you to be able to annotate? Because I have been having trouble when they type entry, when they,
yes.
I cannot find annotation tools.
You're correct. If you want to use those annotation tools in the Speedgrader, you've got to have them upload a file.
Okay. And
the file has to be one of a relatively limited number of types. Basically either a Word document or a PDF.
Okay. Also, when I click on the arrow to go to the next person's assignment, I can't get back. I can't get back to my tile or to my home page.
Okay, I hear you. Let's look at that. I don't want to do that in the training course because I'll expose somebody else's answers.
I can wait. I can wait if you're in the middle.
Oh, no, no, that's a good question. I just want to go to a different course so that I'm not exposing something. I'll just go to a little sandbox course I have. So if I go to grades and let that exercise you're referring to was 6, oh geez, I forget the number now. The one where you're asked to use the Speedgrader. Well, you go and look for the assignment that has been submitted. Here's an assignment. Here's an assignment. This is the little symbol you see if a student has submitted an assignment, but you have not yet graded it. This is what you see if they've uploaded a file. If they've typed into a text box, you see a T here, but it's the same process. You just click on that and then click the right arrow that pops up, and a little panel pops out here showing you information about that student. On the internet, no one knows if you're a dog unless you post your picture. And you can then go into the Speedgrader for that assignment submission. All right, this particular submission asked you to, this particular submission was very much like the one for 2.7 in this course. It was a video. The person was asked to post the link of a video that was created with a certain tool. So now I don't have those annotation tools because I can't annotate a video using this. But I can just play the video from here, evaluate it, give a grade, add comments that the students will be able to see. And then I can just move to the next student. I'm not sure any of the other students have submitted this assignment. Apparently not. So I can run right through all my students until I get back to the one I started with, and I know I've graded all of those submissions for that assignment, and I can move on to the next bit of grading I've got to do. To get back to your course from here, you can just use the back arrow button on your web browser. That Canvas is fairly friendly to that. But what they intend you to do is click on this little icon right here, which takes you back to the grade book. And when Canvas displays the grade book, it minimizes your course menu to give you more room to view the grade book. But the menu is sitting there under this icon up here, these three horizontal lines. To bring your course menu back, you just click on that icon, and there's your course menu. And now you can go wherever you need to, back to your modules or the home screen or to your assignments tool or whatever. So that's how you navigate in and out of the Speedgrader. Did that answer your question?
Yes. Also, I have a question about the accessibility checker. Sometimes I see it and sometimes I don't. In
the rich content editor?
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the type of content that you've put in there as to whether you'll see that or not. You'll usually see it, however. What we're referring to here is the editor that is used to create Canvas pages, among other things. And if we want to evaluate the accessibility of any one page, we can bring up that page, edit it. This is not much of a page, so there's the accessibility tool. This is your accessibility checker in the rich content editor. It's at the far right-hand end of the second row of the icons in the rich content editor. If you click on that, a panel will spring out, and this is what you hope for, that there are no accessibility issues detected. Let's try another page, the one that was a little bit more. Now let's try this page. Let's go to Edit and go to the Accessibility Checker. Apparently I fixed all of them in this one before. Typical things you might find is if you have a graphic in there, you might not have put alt text on it so that screen readers could tell what it was, things like that. But this is what you hope for. We have done a complete training session a few times on accessibility in your Canvas course. Those are under the workshop archive. The recordings are under your workshop archives. It's been a little while since we did that, so it's not one of the most recent ones, but if I go to the next page, there it is from April 17th. This shows you how to use the accessibility checker in the rich content editor and a lot of other stuff. That's about a 2-hour session on accessibility in your Canvas course.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. Thank you for the question. That was a good one. Okay, I'm trying to add some of the free resources to our Canvas, DSPS Canvas course, but they require an access code and a key. Do you know if I need to email the California Virtual College to enable it? If you want to add in these free resources, I'm pretty sure you're talking about the apps that you can add to your courses, like these. And you can't load those yourself. You have to go through a system administrator to do that. And acquiring the codes and keys and so on generally requires communicating with the vendor that produces that app. And some are free, but most require some sort of charge. And in order to get those available on our system, they have to be installed by a system administrator with the rights and the permission to do so. So you'll need to contact, the person to contact on that is probably Chris Rogers. He handles most of those requests, or Trenton Tidwell. I know Chris is away on a family emergency right now, so let me put Trenton's email address in the chat tool here. Okay, he's at the bottom of the chat tool there.
Excuse me, Dave.
Yes.
Do you know of a free version or maybe less expensive version of Go Animate?
Go Animate. You tried Powtoons?
Say that again?
It's not exactly the same thing, but it's similar. Powtoons.
Can you put that in chat?
Let me pull it up here. See if
Okay.
this looks like what you might be talking about. Powtoons free. It does have a free version.
Oh.
Video Maker, make videos and animations.
Yes.
Which is what Go Animate does, though Go Animate's more powerful. But Powtoon.com, I'll put that in the chat tool here. You can produce some pretty sophisticated animations with it. And it's the basic use is free. If we go to pricing here, it'll probably tell us what we can do. Yeah, it's not cheap either.
Well, the other one is $300 for the cheapest version.
Yeah. Well, this, of course, is a subscription, so it's going to add up over time. The base level is $20 a month, so it's not cheap. But you can do some stuff for free. And this is the only other one I really have heard of. And of course, there are things you can't do with the free one, but you can do a lot. So let me put that link in the chat tool. Okay. Very good. All right, let me go back up in the chat tool here and catch up with some of these questions on our training course. Where would you put this in your Canvas shell? I'm sorry, I'm a little out of context there. I didn't see this right at the time. Joy, to what were you referring there? Remember, you can unmute yourself. Okay, not hearing anything. We'll move on. I'll be happy to go back to that later. As an example of the video welcome somewhere, yeah, we saw in the 2.7, let me get back to the training course here. Out playing around there. In your modules, 2.7, there are tons of examples of welcome videos in this list of all these posts that people have made. So there are just dozens of them here to look at to give you an idea of what other people have done. Okay. Do you prefer all questions to be in chat? Well, I try to take them in the order they came in. So yeah, that would be best. Though I'll take follow-on questions about something that I cover in the chat, certainly. Can you talk a little bit about creating navigation, modules, etc.? Well, let's look at a typical Canvas course. I don't want to mess with the training course. If I accidentally change something in there, there will be splaining to do. So let me go to a simple, relatively simple Canvas course that I use as an example a lot. Navigating your Canvas course should be as simple as possible for your students, obviously. It is nothing turns students off faster than not knowing what to do next in the course, how to get started and how to proceed. Canvas does everything it can to ensure that will be easy for the student by basically forcing you to put your content into what are called modules, which are just collections of related links that the students can work through in order. Like in this course, this is a module. And it's not unusual to have like a getting started or an introductory module first that has links to the kind of things that you'd cover on the first day of class, like the syllabus, information about you, a welcome message, maybe a question and answer discussion, and maybe a quiz on the syllabus. In navigating the course then, if a course is properly designed, all a student should have to do is go to the modules, which is the default entry point for the course. If you don't otherwise alter it, when the student comes into the course the first time, they see the modules tool. And they can just start with, if the module is set up properly, they can just start at the top and work their way to the bottom of the module. And when they're done, with that module, they're done with that part of the course. Ideally, they should never have to leave the module. They shouldn't have to go over here into the course menu and say, look for quizzes or assignments or other content. Everything ideally would be linked into the module, and you can put links to all of this stuff over here into the module. That's called modular course design. Then you get to your first subject area of the course. This could be what you do in the first week of the course, or the first chapter in the textbook, or the first topic you cover in the course, whatever. Maybe the title of the first chapter in the textbook. But you would put in here all of your content that you want the students to read or view, files, links to external content on the web, Canvas pages, which are basically just documents that you create in Canvas, web pages that you create in Canvas that have instructional information in them, lecture notes, PowerPoint presentations. Sample questions, test prep, all that stuff could be linked into here. Also links to assignments, quizzes, discussions that they're required to participate in. And again, when they get to the bottom of that module, they should be done with that part of your course. And then you go to the next piece, which could be week 2, chapter 2, topic 2, and just keep the same thing going throughout. Typically, the modules are quite similar to one another, with just covering different material, but the same basic process. So this is called modular course design, and this makes navigation of your course exceptionally easy for the students. All they really ever have to do is go into the modules tool, start working at the top, and keep working till they get to the bottom. And when they get to the bottom, they're done. The course is over, and they're ready to move on to the next semester. It's going to take them a while to do that. And that's what you're going to do in the online faculty training course. You're going to start at the top and work your way down. And that's pretty much all the navigation that a student should have to worry about. So, and once they get into a module, they don't even have to keep coming back to this modules tool. They can just, at the bottom of every page, they'll have a next button that allows them to go to the next item in the module. And once they get past the first module, they'll have a previous button. They can go back where they started, a step at a time, and they can just work sequentially through the module. And at the bottom right of every page will be a next button, though they can hop back to the modules at any time. That's pretty much all the navigation information a student needs. This is why we very rarely have questions from students about how to operate their Canvas courses. If the course is well designed, it's obvious. What to do in Canvas is pretty obvious. They may need some help taking a quiz the first time or submitting an assignment, but we have tutorials for them. There are tutorials available in numerous places for them on that. But the process is intuitive enough in Canvas that usually they don't even have to view a tutorial to figure out how to do what they need to do. And that is above and beyond the reason why Canvas was adopted by all of the California community colleges. It's easier for students to use than just about any other learning management system on the market. And that's the most important thing. I hope I answered that question. Where does PPT lie on the spectrum I'm mentioning? PowerPoint presentations certainly can be, if I'm interpreting that question correctly, PowerPoint presentation presentation can easily be linked into your modules. Let's say I had a PowerPoint on this first one here. I'm not sure I do, but let me go look for it. I could add the PowerPoint to the module right in the modules tool. I can go to the top of the module and go to this plus sign out here, which is add something to the module, add an item to the module. PowerPoint presentation would probably be a file that I have on my local computer. I tell Canvas I want to add a new file. I choose the file I want to add from my local computer. Now I have to find a PowerPoint. Let's see, probably be in my documents folder. I can search for okay, here's PowerPoint. Oh, that'll do. This doesn't have anything to do with screencasting, but I'll use it anyway. I just select the PowerPoint presentation, click open, and add the item. It goes to the bottom of the module. I can move it up anywhere I need to if it's not in the appropriate place. The student can I can publish it to make sure that the students can see it, and I can just click on that link. And PowerPoint is one of the file types that Canvas will display almost immediately. Well, actually, it depends. If you have a PowerPoint presentation that's like 200 megabytes in size, it's going to take a while for it to show up here. But I got to tell you, nobody's going to read a PowerPoint presentation that big anyway. But a reasonable sized PowerPoint presentation will come up pretty quickly. It just displays as a series of slides, and the students can work their way through it, and that's all there is. And you would put the PowerPoint presentation in the module that was appropriate, that whose topic was addressed by the PowerPoint presentation. I will say that PowerPoint slides by themselves have limited value generally, because most of the information that is conveyed during a PowerPoint presentation is conveyed in your narration of the slides rather than in the slides themselves. The slides are usually just mostly talking points upon which you expand greatly. So how can you put that into your course? And that's actually pretty easy. If I want to record my narration for a PowerPoint presentation, hey, I'm in a Zoom meeting, right? I could start a Zoom meeting with nobody else in it. And I can start the recording, and then I can just go to PowerPoint, and I can bring up my PowerPoint presentation. Whoops, that's not the one I wanted. All right. pull up another one here. This is the one. This is the one I just showed you there, but in PowerPoint. He said. Here's my PowerPoint presentation. I just I'm recording. If I have my screen shared in the, if I share my screen in the Zoom meeting, I'm recording whatever appears on my screen. I bring up my PowerPoint and I start talking. 5 tips for listening well. Be prepared to listen. You've got to be mentally and physically ready when you come into a class to appreciate what is being said to you. It's always a good idea to read a little bit about the topic, at least before you come in, so that you at least have a bit of terminology down and things like that that will make whatever the person presenting to you says mean a lot more. Otherwise, you're liable to end up lost after the first 5 minutes and zoned out, and you just wasted that time. Next slide. And you just keep working your way through the presentation, and Zoom is recording what you're saying and recording the slides at the same time. You don't even have to go into slideshow mode here. You can just bring these up in edit mode, and you've got your navigation over here on the side, so it's easy to go forward and backward at need and so on. And you can present the presentation the same way you would in class, except that suddenly there's a new answer to that age-old question. How many times do I have to give this PowerPoint presentation before I die? And the answer can be just one more. Because you got it recorded. You can just refer somebody to it. Or you can put a link to it in your Canvas course. This would just be another video that you could put up on YouTube and then link into your course. That's why that assignment 2.7 is there. It gives you shows you how to do things like this. So instead of just throwing your PowerPoint slides at students, they have the full benefit of your presentation without you having to do it every time you have another course. You can just pull it up and play it back. So you can put it in the can and pull it out when you need it. I hope that was some, at least, of what that question addressed. Is it necessary to read all the material and view all the videos that are embedded within links? No. The videos especially are there if you have questions. If you try to carry out the instructions that you are given and you can't do it, then the videos are there to help you. But it's not necessary to watch every one of the instructional videos. It would take forever. And the reading material, yeah, you need to at least skim all of it to make sure, even if it's something you're familiar with, you want to make sure that you're not missing something. But the videos, certainly not. I teach dance and Pilates. A lot of times we're more visual than verbal. I hear that. So that's where video becomes an absolute essential. And again, that's the reason for that 2.7 assignment. I know a lot of people are adapting Zoom to teach things like that. My little granddaughter in London is taking her Taekwondo lessons over Zoom. The instructor demonstrates, and then they show him what they mimic his movements and show him. He can see them, they can see him. And it's not ideal, but it works. Something like dance, you can certainly use your webcam to film you demonstrating a dance move, or a colleague. And then your students can do the same thing and send it back, and you can see what they're doing. It does require that they have a camera and you have a camera, and that can be problematic right now. It's difficult to get webcams, but they can use their smartphones for this. They can set their smartphones up on a tripod or up on a shelf and film themselves that way. And smartphones work great in Zoom, both for you and for your students. So it can be done. It's not as simple as meeting together, but it's also a heck of a lot safer right now. There are other tricks you can use, and this is not a Zoom training session, so I don't want to get too deep into that, but certainly there are a lot of things that you can do visually. But again, video becomes your friend. Video within Zoom, video recorded outside of Zoom, uploaded to YouTube and watched on demand by your students and so on, would be a critical tool for you. And that's my special interest in educational technology, is instructional video. So I'm very happy to work with you on that. If you want to email me, I can show you some other resources we have and answer some more detailed questions on that. What is the difference between a development shell and a teaching shell? Good question. In an ideal world, you wouldn't need a development shell. You just take the shell that you got automatically at the beginning of each term, and you put your content into it, you put your assessments into it, and you would then just use that shell for that semester. And at the end of that semester, as you're preparing for the next semester, you would just copy the content from that shell that you just taught out of to the next semester's live shell, teaching shell, and keep going that way. That's an ideal world that does not include PeopleSoft. Because of the way that classes are set up in PeopleSoft, the district's administrative or academic administrative software, it's often necessary to make changes at the last minute. CRNs change, classes are canceled, other classes are put in their place, and sometimes mistakes are made when the classes are put into PeopleSoft the first time, and those have to be corrected. And that requires recreating the class record completely in PeopleSoft. And every time there's a change to the shell in PeopleSoft, the shell that was automatically created for that course in Canvas is blown away and a new one is created. And if you have just finished with your teaching shell, putting all your stuff into it and all your assessments and getting everything set up, and suddenly somebody decides they have to change the CRN, boop, your shell goes away. All that work. Well, it doesn't exactly go down the drain. We can get it back, but it's a hassle for us and for you because you're without it for a while. So what we've had to start doing is not even providing those live teaching shells, the ones where your students are going to be automatically enrolled, where that automatically appear for you. We can't even make those available until about a week before the beginning of the term, because there are too many changes happening in PeopleSoft that cause you to lose any work that you've done in those shells. Those things you want to use at the last, you want to take care of at the last minute. So what we've recommended you do is ask for a so-called development shell for each of the courses that you teach. You teach English 101, English 205, and so on. You get a separate development shell for each one. Sometimes these have been called master shells in the past, master copies, that will never see students and that will never be touched by PeopleSoft. We promise you, PeopleSoft can't get to these. So you build your course in the development shell. You develop it. That's why we call it that. And you get everything ready to go, just as if you were going to use that shell with your students. And when you get your live shells about a week before the beginning of the term, it should be safe at that point to copy all of your content and your assessments and your due dates and all that stuff from your development shell into your live shell. And then you're ready to go. The process takes maybe 5 minutes of your time. It may take Canvas a little longer to sort everything through, but your involvement's about 5 minutes.
Can I ask a question at this point?
Absolutely.
How long after the end of the term is your shell still there for you to transfer for you to import the material into the new shell?
Indefinitely. You do not lose access to your shells.
Okay.
Your students are prevented from changing anything in the shell after a certain point, but you do not ever lose access to it. So, you do have to know how to do the copy process. It is, I understand someone got in trouble, may have been me, I don't know, about saying that's easy to do. Apparently that complaint made it all the way up to the chancellor. Trust me, I'll say it again. It's easy to do, to copy the content from one shell to another. We have a tutorial for that, as you might imagine. That's a pretty important thing. If I just go to this on-demand website and type Canvas, that will give me all my Canvas tutorials. There's quite a few of those, so I'll narrow that by also putting in the word copy, pressing enter. Here's copying content from one Canvas course shell to another. This video is copying content from one Canvas, hush, chatty bugger, is less than 3 minutes long. And the tutorial always takes a lot longer than the actual process once you know how to do it. So it's easy, it's quick, and it works. Canvas is extremely reliable on course copies. So you just copy your development shell into your live shell, and you're done. If you have multiple sections of the live shells, like you have 2 sections of English 101 that you're teaching, you have to do the copy twice. But still, the effort and the amount of time involved are minuscule, and so the process is quite easy. Mm-hmm.
So you copy it into your Canvas course. It stays in your development shell. Is that correct? It's permanently.
That is correct. Your development shell stays intact. It can't be hurt, so, unless you go in and delete stuff or something in a fit of angst. But no one else is going to mess with your Canvas shell, and PeopleSoft can't touch it, and students will never see it. So it's totally pristine, and you just need to update it from time to time as you add new content and so on.
Okay.
Actually, what a lot of people do at the end of a term, because as you teach through a term, you'll probably find things that you want to change about the course. You learn what works and what doesn't and so on, and you make changes. At the end of the term, what a lot of people do is then copy the content from that live shell back into the development shell. And if you ask us, we can clear the development shell for you so that it's blank, and then you can copy that back and you get an updated development shell without having to do any manual changes in the development shell, and then copy forward from there. But that different people handle that different ways. But the development shell is guaranteed to never go away. The only way it will go away is if you say, I don't need that shell anymore, please delete it for me. We will do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I hope I answered that question.
Yes, that was good, thank you.
Great. Is the iPivo an autofocus camera? Yes, it is. But it can need some help sometimes. There's also a focus button on the camera that will allow you to focus it. And there's a focus button in the software. obviously that's needed here. Typically, this software is not perfect. And when you minimize it and it comes back up, typically you have to refocus the camera. And if you focus, and you may be able to induce it to focus if you have it set. Actually, I think I may not have it set to autofocus. Let me try that. Let me see here. No, I did not. So yeah, it's an autofocus camera. But the autofocus can be foxed. If I get my hand in here, it'll focus on my hand instead of and then there's that kind of stuff goes on. But it is an autofocus. It does have autofocus capability. I usually keep mine turned to manual. So, okay. Where do we get the different requirements or activities that we need to do to be certified? Out of your training course. You go into your training course. The training course is where all the teaching content is. Your development shell is just a sandbox for you to use to do certain things that you can't do in the training course because you're not an instructor in the training course. But you just go to your modules, either click where it says begin module 1 here, or just go to the modules tool in the course menu and start at the top and work to the bottom. And all of the assignments you need to perform are in here. In context with the material that will show you how to perform them or satisfy them, and in what we hope is a logical order. And you just work your way down, and when you get to the bottom and you submit the certification statement, which is basically just a simple quiz. It's in the form of a quiz. It's not a test, but it's a place where we ask you to assert certain things. When you finish that, you are done. And we will know that you're finished because you'll have an attempt for the certification statement, and everything else will be done. And you'll get an email saying you're certified and a nice little certificate. All right, still working down. Okay, we answered that one. Is it necessary to create all, here's a good question. Is it necessary to create all new Canvas content for the training, or can we use content already created from our courses? You can certainly use content that you've already created in your courses, absolutely. Like your syllabus, perfect. If I put something in by mistake in the modules, can I move it to the assignments? If yes, how? Okay, I don't think that refers to the training course per se. But if you're creating a module, Diana, do you want to, if you're still here, do you want to expand on that a little bit? I'll take a flyer.
I am here. I tried and I couldn't, and that's why I said, let me ask this question.
Have I answered it?
So we can do it to move from module to the assignment. If I put something wrong.
I'm sorry, your audio is breaking up a little bit. I'm having a little trouble understanding, but if you put something in a module,
yes.
If it's an assessment, like a quiz or a homework assignment or a graded discussion, it will automatically appear in your assignments tool.
Okay.
You don't have to put it in there. You can create an assignment in a homework assignment in your assignments tool And that will not automatically appear in a module. You have to link it into the module manually if you create it here. But if you create it within the module, you get a link to it in the module, and it goes into the assignments tool automatically. So
Okay,
that's how I usually teach adding content to your course. I like to add everything from the modules tool, because then I not only get the a quiz automatically goes to the quizzes tool, an assignment automatically goes to the assignments tool, a discussion automatically goes to the discussions tool, which is here somewhere. There it is. And yet I get the link in the module at the same time. So it's one operation instead of two.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Good. I'm so glad I got that. Yeah, that's a fair question. The current session ends June 30th. When will we know if we passed? Just as quickly as we can humanly get to it is all I can promise. And I'm not right now involved in the grading, so I can't speak to that directly. But okay, this looks like an interesting question. I have a MacBook Air. When I share the Zoom smartboard and start writing with the tools, it's so difficult to write with my finger. Boy, I empathize there. Any suggestions? I don't have a touch screen on my computer. Oh yeah. Oh, I feel your pain on that one. The whiteboard, Zoom whiteboard, if I kill my screen share for a second, and we're close enough to the bottom of the chat tool, and I feel comfortable answering this question now. One of the options I get when I share my screen in Zoom is to share the whiteboard, which is just a featureless white rectangle. Looks like this. Now everybody can see that. And everybody has a little set of annotation tools that they can use. And I can draw on the whiteboard. I can try to write, but as you say, it is very hard to write legibly using a mouse. I can draw, like I can draw a chemical formula. I'm a chemist by training, so that's about the only thing I know how to draw. Like that's benzene, sort of. But it's fiendishly hard to do that with a mouse. Or with your finger, if you're using an iPad or whatever to access this tool. So what can you do? Well, you can buy a graphics tablet, which has a stylus and a touch-sensitive surface. And you can write a little bit better with the stylus because it's more like a pencil or a brush. And you can draw stuff. It's a bit more legible than you can do with a mouse, but it's still not easy to do because you're not looking at what you're drawing while you're looking at the screen and drawing without looking at your fingers. And trust me, that is harder than it sounds.
Dave, you can use text.
You can use text on the whiteboard, but you could also just if you're just going to put text in there. Yeah, there's a text entry tool. But if you're just going to do that, you could just bring up Word and share your screen and type into Word, which has better text editing capability. So the whole focus here is to, of course, try to replace that whiteboard that you have hanging on the wall in your classroom, where you write things and you draw things as you lecture. And we're all very used to having that. And there are some things that are very hard to teach without doing that. STEM subjects especially. I can't imagine teaching chemistry without a whiteboard or some equivalent thereof. And this sure ain't it. So I'm not enamored of this. My suggestion, and it does involve some expense, unfortunately, is, let me share my computer screen again. my suggestion is the document camera. It's updating itself there. Let me zoom out. I've got it auto-focusing, which works pretty good until I put my hand over here. And then things start getting funky. That's why I usually keep it in manual focus and just focus it manually at need. I'll just change the button on the camera that says that. Now the focus should stay more or less right. And I can try to kill the keystone a little bit. Whoops. I pulled it right off the stand. That wasn't good. There we go. So now I can use the high-tech solution from Sharpie. Now, if I want to do mathematical notation or scientific diagrams or any kind of diagram that you might want to draw, you just do it on paper like you're used to doing. I want to show a chemical reaction between benzene and sulfuric acid and nitric acid and lots of heat. I can show how to make nitrobenzene. My students can see it probably better than they can see it when I draw it on a whiteboard in the front of class, especially if they like to sit in the back of the room. I can write it more legibly than I can on a whiteboard. And I can, of course, I can do mathematical notation of all sorts. I can write it out. The students can see it. They can hear me talking about it. So these document cameras make an incredibly easy to use and functional substitute for the whiteboard hanging on your wall. And of course, when I get finished with a page, I can just tear it off and put it aside. So if I need to go back to it, I can bring it back. So it's better than a whiteboard in many ways. It's more legible. It does cost a little bit of money. This camera, the modern equivalent of this camera, this one's 7 or 8 years old, is sharper and better, though you can see this perfectly well. But it's about $100. The problem is finding them right now. They're hard to come by. Let's see what Amazon's, if Amazon has them today, though Amazon is by no means the only place to look. Yeah. Don't bother me right now. IPEVO document camera for teachers. Looks like you can get it. That's better than usual. It looks like you can get it right now in about a week. This is the one you want, the $100 one. There are more expensive ones, but they're not needed. And there are other manufacturers that I can't vouch for. A lot of them coming out of places in the Far East and so on that I just don't know. Elmo is a pretty good brand, but look at that, $650. I don't think so. This IPEVO is sort of the industry standard for educators. It's fairly reasonable in price, and it works great. And as I say, I've got an IPEVO camera that I've had for about 8 years, and it's still working just fine. I haven't seen the need to upgrade to the new one, though the new one is a little sharper. So you could get that one right now and have it in a week. There have been times it hasn't been available. You can also, in a pinch, use your smartphone as a document camera. And we have a tutorial for that. search for document camera or just document. Board using an improvised smartphone document camera. I've seen a lot of ingenious solutions to this, but basically you just have to have a way to get to hold your phone up in the air at an appropriate height above your piece of paper and have it held there without you having to hold it up while trying to write with the other hand. And there have been a number of solutions proposed to that I've seen that work great. This is one we came up with many years ago, where we just strapped the smartphone to a ruler with a rubber band and then anchored the ruler in the air by just a stack of books. We happened to have a computer handy, so we used a computer, a box, and a pencil sharpener as the weight on top, but you could just use a brick or whatever. And that held the camera in place. We just started, we joined the Zoom session with the camera and used the microphone and the camera to talk to our students, and then just put the piece of paper down below and started writing. And it worked like a flippin' charm.
Board. For instance, if I have an equation, 2x squared plus 5 equal 19.
And you already have you already own the smartphone, and I bet you can come up with a paint stick or a ruler and a rubber band. So that's one way around this. And if I were teaching, especially in a STEM field, I don't know how I'd teach without this.
So Dave, with using your smartphone,
yep,
as a stock camera, do you get on Zoom first?
Yeah. I would join the Zoom meeting before I strapped it to the ruler. Right. You could do it afterwards, but it'd be more awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And you just join the meeting with your smartphone.
Yeah.
And they can hear you. The microphone in your smartphone's probably better than the microphone in the webcam, or almost as good as the microphone in the webcam I'm using. It's a phone after all. So it's designed to pick up audio. The video camera in the phone is probably better than the one in the document camera. What the document camera gives you that the phone doesn't, if I move, let's see, let me kill my share here, try not to make you too seasick. This is what the document camera has. It has that little stand. Otherwise, it's just really just a webcam, but the little stand is the magic.
Okay.
Okay. So I've even had people mount their webcams horizontally using a clamp or something. So that would work too. Though the cameras the document cameras are optimized to show still documents, to show images where there's not a lot of movement, and sharper than your webcam would probably be under those circumstances. But the webcam would probably work fine too. Okay, I really empathize with that one. Alrighty, we're getting through it here. On Canvas, if I have a class and would like to use the same quiz for another class or another semester, how would I do that? When you copy content from one Canvas course to another, you have an option to either copy all of the content from one course to another, or just some of the content that you select. So if you have a quiz, say, that's already in one Canvas course, and you want to move just that quiz to another Canvas course, you would use that selected copy option. Let me share my screen again here. I'll show you how to do that. It's very simple. We go to Canvas. We go to a course where we would like to have this quiz appear. Let me find a course here that might not have a quiz in it. I've got a few. I don't want to mess with anything that is in use. Looking just for a sandbox here. Let's see what's in this one. That's got too much stuff in it. Oh, we'll use this one. Oh, well, I'm going to use this anyway. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to reset this sucker. You can't do this, unfortunately, because we had somebody do this during one of our, accidentally, during one of our pilot courses. And they lost a lot of their students' grades and so on. The only time I've ever seen grades lost in Canvas was when a faculty member did this by accident. We're still not quite sure how that happened, but that's how you make a blank course out of one that you've got content in. Okay, now I got a blank course. Let's say I'd like to move a quiz into this course from another course. I go to the settings link in the course menu, and I select import course content. Seems reasonable. And assuming I already have this content in another Canvas shell on this same Canvas system, I say copy a Canvas course. And it asks me, do you want to copy the whole course or just some stuff from it? And if I just want some stuff, like one quiz, I click select specific content. I do have to tell Canvas where that content is right now. And I'll have to type the first few letters of the name of the course in order for Canvas to search for it. This one will do. I just select the course where the content is currently located, and then I just click import. Now I'm asked to select the content I want to copy. I click that button, and I get a list of all the content and the assessments and everything else that's in that course that I selected as the source for this. And among those options are quizzes. I could select all the quizzes by clicking this checkbox, or if I just want one or two of them, though, I can click this arrow, which will give me a list of each of the quizzes. Let's say I just want the syllabus quiz. I just select that and click select content, and the copy proceeds. Usually doesn't take but a few seconds. Boom. Now if I go to quizzes here and look, this was a completely empty course, but there's the syllabus quiz. And you can move any selected group of content items from one course to another this way. You're not limited to just one thing at a time. You can make multiple selections and pull just what you want from the other course into this one. So that's how to do copying selected content in Canvas. If the time permits, could you please show annotation tools in Speedgrader? Sure, and that's one of the things you're asked to do in the course, as a matter of fact, is to use Speedgrader. I can't seem to insert corrections, only bubbles. That's right. Using the annotation tools in a Speedgrader, you can't insert, well, yeah, you can insert corrections, actually, but you can't actually, you have some limitations in how you can do that. So let's take a look at that. I need a sandbox course here that's got a submitted assignment that I can utilize. Let me go to introduction to this course here has a homework assignment in it that would be an appropriate example of this sort of thing. It's called Define Screencasting. That's the assignment I want. Let me see if I have an assignment that's been submitted that hasn't already been graded in this course. This is a play course, a sandbox, but I can do that. Let's see, Define Screencasting. Oh, I've got a few submissions here. Let me pick test student 2 and have him submit one of my mental giants in this course here, obviously. As an administrator, I can act as anybody else inside the course. So I can just play like I'm this student and submit that assignment. Define Screencasting. Click on it. This is what the students see when they submit an assignment. They get the instructions. They're told that they have to, I have set this assignment to only accept Word documents, which you can do. It's a good idea if you want to use this annotation tool in the Speedgrader, because it only works with certain limited file types like Word documents, PDFs, and OpenOffice documents. So you have to limit what the students can upload if you want to be sure to be able to use this annotation commenting tools in Speedgrader.
Dave, excuse me. Could you go back and show me how you got acting as a user button?
Well, that you can't get that. Only a system administrator has. Right. Only a system administrator has access to that. Otherwise, there would be no security. That's just a shortcut for me. So and here I see the rubric, so I know what's being expected. And you can create your rubrics as well. We have tutorials on that. But right now, the student is going to submit this assignment. So they click the Submit Assignment button, and now the student is given an option to upload a file containing their definition that hopefully fits these requirements. They choose the file, and I happen to have a submission here that I use as an example. There it is. Let's take this one. Here's a screencasting definition. It is a document, a Word document. I click Open and click Submit Assignment. And that's all it takes for a student to submit a homework assignment. And usually they figure that out pretty quickly. The student does have the option to resubmit the assignment, and you can't stop them from doing that. Students can resubmit assignments as often as they like, and you can't stop them. The only thing you can do is decide which submission you're going to accept. That's a design decision.
Where do they see feedback, and can they print the feedback?
I know they can see it. Can they print it? They could certainly take a screenshot and print that. I'll show you that in a minute, okay? So we've submitted the assignment. The student has submitted the assignment. Now I can stop being that user and be myself again and go to the grade book in this course as the instructor. And I find the column for that grade there it is, Define Screencasting. And here I have a new submission. That's what that icon tells me. I need to grade that. So I click on the icon. If I knew what the grade was going to be, I know this student got a 5. I could enter it right here, but that probably wouldn't be fair. So let's go look at the submission before we grade it. We do that by clicking the right arrow. You've all had those students, you know what I mean. And go to the Speedgrader. The link here takes me to the Speedgrader, which is your grading interface in Canvas. You use this to grade everything. And if what's been submitted is a file of the appropriate format, you'll see these little annotation tools in the upper right-hand corner. And this allows you to basically blue pencil the submission, just as you would with your blue pencil on paper. It's not quite as flexible, but it has a lot of the same capability. So let's see, the question was, I know how to use the strike through. Yeah, so like for some reason I didn't like the wording digital video recording. I can click the strike through tool and strike through it. And then when I let up on the mouse, I get a little bubble, a little text box. If I click on that, I can leave a comment. That can mean a lot of different things. So now I've left a comment for the student, and I've indicated that this was incorrect in some way. But I can also leave a point comment, point annotation, like insert a correction. Or whatever. Okay, so I can associate that comment with that point right there in the document, if I like. I can also just do a free text comment. Help if I spell it right. So I can put a text comment right where I want it, anywhere in. Or I can also draw. Like an arrow there.
Can you double space?
No, I can't alter this in any way. You'd have to ask them to double space it before they turned it in, which of course would be a standard sort of thing to do in a writing assignment. But you can't alter that once you get it to this point, not in the Speedgrader. You could download the Word document and work with it offline, and there you could double space it, and you could even use offline annotation tools, not the one in Canvas, but offline annotation tools to mark up the document, and then you could reload it to the student's assignment using this file attachment button down here for feedback and provide it back to them so that they could view it. But you can't do that sort of thing in the Speedgrader. What you have is these tools here. You can also highlight like an entire paragraph and make a comment about that. Let's see, you can highlight text. And then leave a comment. And so on. So you have a fairly extensive set of annotation capabilities available if the submission is an uploaded file. You can't do this if the student types into a text box in Canvas to satisfy
What's the
assignment.
paintbrush?
I'm sorry?
The paintbrush. What is
Oh,
that?
the paintbrush is a drawing tool.
Oh, it's a drawing tool. Okay.
It's a pen, basically. You can choose the thickness of the line and the color, but that's about all you can do.
And the arrow?
The arrow I just drew.
I see.
And that's about the extent of my drawing capability, especially with a mouse. Yeah. Or you can circle, or you can draw smiley faces. Kind of lopsided with really drunken smiley faces and so on. It's just a freehand drawing tool. So it is like a blue pencil, and you can even make it blue.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, now that's one type of comment you can produce in Speedgrader. Since the next question I have on deck is, how do the students see this? So in order to give you as a matter of fact, that's a tutorial I'm working on right this minute. I have it up on another screen here working on it. How do students see the feedback that you give them in the Speedgrader? Let me give a little extra feedback then. Like a comment. I can type a general comment. Faint praise. And I even have spell check inside that box. That's pretty cool. I can type general comments. I can make video comments. I have to pick the right webcam. I can't use a webcam for Zoom and a webcam for this at the same time, so I have to pick another webcam. I actually have several webcams attached to this, so let me pick one here. I'll pick my IPVO camera. That can be used as a webcam as well. I have to pick the right microphone. Unless you see this bar bouncing across, if you see that, you know it's hearing you. You just start the recording. Not bad. You left out one thing. Let's see if you can figure out what it is. Not especially useful feedback. It's easy to do. And then just save that. And it appears here and can be played back by the student later. But here's my favorite way to give feedback. This only works if you're using the Chrome web browser to access Canvas. Nice definition, period. Your applications are also first rate, period. I didn't see any tools, either hardware or software, mentioned, period. Did you forget that? Question mark. 2-point deduction, period. Clark's first law. That is definitely indistinguishable from magic. It works only in Chrome because it uses a Chrome plugin that is integrated with Canvas. And this is the only place I know of in Canvas that this tool is integrated, unfortunately. It'd be nice to just be able to build your pages this way too, but I don't think that, I'm pretty sure this doesn't work with the rich content editor, unfortunately. That'd be too cool. All right, now when I'm done, of course, I do need to give it a grade. Maybe that's 8 out of 10. And submit both the grade and the feedback. And that goes into my grade book. Let's see, I have to find that. I can always do just homework assignments so I can find it easier. There it is. There it was test student 2. So there's that one. I can always get back to that, what I did on that bit of grading by going back to the Speedgrader, and it saves everything. The student can also access this at any time. Again, if I'm going to act as that student, I have to click on him there and act as the user. Proceed. The student then can come in and go to his grades tool. And here are a list of all his grades in order to default by due date, but he can change that order to any one of these. And you can't control that. The student gets to control that. And here's the assignment we just graded. And this little icon right here indicates that there are comments. Click on that, and there's the video comment. I can click on that and play it. Not bad. You left out one thing. And here are the text comments right below it. But you don't see those markups anywhere. That's a common question. I have to close these comments to see that. And in order to see the markup comments, I have to click on the name of the assignment. This is not the most intuitive part of Canvas. And I still don't see anything until I see this little link up here in the upper right-hand corner. And if I click that, now the student sees those annotations I did, the markup tools. And they're coded, color and texture coded, so that the student can tell which one of these comments goes with which annotation over here. So that's how they view that.
Thank you so much.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Excellent. And yes, I know we need a tutorial, both for the students and for the faculty on that. And I'm working on that right now. And I'm at the bottom of the chat tool, my goodness. I see there's still a few of you hanging on. Does anybody else have another question they'd like to ask? Wow. I must have done a pretty good job. Or you're all asleep, which is a real good bet too at this point. Because we're already at almost 5 o'clock. But is there anything else you can think of? If not, remember, you can always email me. You might want to save the chat log before you leave. I did put a couple of useful things in there, I hope. You're most welcome. Enjoy doing this. It's nice to see you all again, in many cases. And I'll have this online, the recording online, with probably sometime tomorrow morning. It will start rendering as soon as I end the meeting here. So everything appears to be going fine. So remember, you can email me at any time if you have any questions, and I will be glad to hear from you.
I have a question.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Sorry, Dave. Well, I hope I didn't miss it, but was there a question about buttons? How to make buttons?
How to make buttons?
I used to use the button optimizer site, but for some reason it doesn't work right now. I mean, if it's a quick answer, I don't want to keep.
Well, you could make buttons in Canvas pages because they are basically just web pages, HTML pages. And there's an HTML editor. But you could make buttons relatively crudely, but you can make them in the editor. Let me share my screen. We'll take a shot at that. Let's, in this course, I'll just make a page, okay? You'd have to put them in Canvas pages. You can't add buttons to the Canvas navigation interface, okay? That's pretty much set in stone. You can add a link to the course menu that points to an external resource, a web link, but you can't really put a navigation button in anywhere. The interface is what it is. The Canvas interface is. But you can make a Canvas page that has a navigation button in it. Let's just make a new page by going to the Pages tool right there in this menu and click Add Page. I'm just going to call this button Example Page. All right, you'd have to make a geometric shape. Let's say, oh gosh, can I do that here? I don't really have drawing tools here, come to think of it.
Would it be a table?
You could make a table, yes. You can make any number of rows and columns. And you could use a table cell as a button, indeed, like, call this link to Google. I can center that. I can change the background color in that link to whatever I like, he said. Okay. Now I can highlight that and I can put in a hyperlink and link to URL. And insert the link. And I think I can make that table disappear. Let me see.
Okay, I got it. I understand.
You got the idea.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd probably have to actually hand edit the HTML to get rid of the boundaries. So that's not going to happen. But that you could do.
Thank you.
You could also import a just a button image from somewhere. You could create the button offline and then import that as an image into here and then link either to an external resource. You can also link to internal items within the course, like a quiz.
We used to be able to do that, but not anymore. I don't know why. The button optimizer used to work perfectly, but not anymore.
I don't know. I've never used that tool, so I don't know. But
thank you.
I think you get the idea then.
Yes,
I've
yes.
done
Thank you
what I can.
so much.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
All righty. I'll cancel that and ask if anybody else has anything. If not, I will wish you a fun or a pleasant evening and hope to see you again soon. I'll take care.